beautiful people. What's going on? How we doing? How we feeling? Let me fix myself real quick. Happy Wednesday and happy March. Happy Women's History Month. Although we celebrate women history all the time. You know what it is. How y'all doing? My name is Ekiwa Asamoto, also known as Eki's Famous, creative director of Your Queens, the first ancient African royalty company to teach about African royalty through storytelling, song, and dance. And we are back again for episode 3 of season 2 of Behind the Crown. Y'all saw what I did there? Of Your Queens. If you're tuning in, thank you for joining us. This is what I need for you guys to do. Share this out with your family and friends. Take a few seconds, take the share button, share. If you're streaming on YouTube or Facebook, we appreciate you. Share it with your family and friends. Shout out to the Ranters Union for having us. As always, today we are talking Kwanzaa principles. I know you're like, what? Girl, Kwanzaa's in December. But isn't the goal to celebrate it all the time and to talk about the principles and also the value and to do the principles all the time? So yeah, we're having a discussion, and I got some people with me. Where y'all at? Where my beautiful people? Come through.
Hey.
Hey, yes. Look at my beautiful panelists. Lovely on this beautiful Wednesday. So I want to show some love. Shout out first to my beautiful queen, Shannon Nia Alomar. Tell the people about yourself and how you doing.
Well, happy Wednesday, beautiful people. It is so good to be with you all as always. I was telling the royal fam behind the scenes, I'm acting up a little bit today because my king gifted me with a mic. So now I don't know who I think I am, but here we are. But I am so glad to be here with you all once again. My name is Shannon Nia Alomar, as mentioned. For Your Queens, I embody the beautiful one, Queen Nefertiti. I also serve as the web mistress behind the scenes, and I serve as an advisor on our board of directors, and I am just so grateful to be here. And professionally, I am an elementary science teacher. So that is a little bit about me and what I do.
I love it. You glowing, sis.
Thank you. I got a ring light too. So, we out here today.
And the top, the flowers, all of that. I'm here for it. She's Nefertiti's laughing. Hi, Queen B. That's my boo, Neffy. Thank you for tuning in. I love and appreciate you. Next up is my girl, Angie. Hey. Say hello to the beautiful people.
Hi, beautiful people. Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day. You almost there. It's almost the end of the week. My name is Anjanae, formerly known as Anjanae, but people know me as Angie. And I rail from the Bronx, New York. Put your X's up. It's Women's History Month, so I'm feeling myself. So everything about me is going to be mentioned today. Um, I play Queen Cleopatra for Your Queens, as well as I am the social media manager for Your Queens, as well as an advisor on the board of directors. And in my 9 to 5, day to day, I work in the retail industry for Foot Locker. So that's a little bit about me.
So good to see you. I just realized all 3 of us are born in the Bronx. We threw up the X like real quick.
Listen, don't get me started about the Bronx now.
And Nefertiti in the comments. He's like, yes. Okay, Nathaniel's trying to come in. Next up, we have a very, very special queen guest, Taj Sutton. She's a Community Education Council president in District 14, the program manager at Teens Take Charge, and a steering committee member at the Black Lives Matter at Schools NY and Parents of Responsive, Equitable, Safe Schools. Taj also serves as the communications director and events coordinator for Students Break the Silence, an intergenerational coalition of students, educators, and families fighting for public schools through the lens of Black joy and education for liberation. It's my queen. Thank you for joining us. Taj Sutton, say hello to the people.
Hello, beautiful people. Come on, Bronx. Come on, Science. Come on, you're queens. I see you. You couldn't see me because I'm off camera, but I threw up the X2, y'all. Big B's, okay? Brooklyn and the Bronx. We running everything.
Everything. So good to have you, Queen. We appreciate you. So I wanted to, can you share
Yes.
There is a little bit. Okay, there you go. Next up, thank you, Taj, for coming through. Next up, we have one of our great kings, Nathaniel. We appreciate you. Say hello to the people. Let them know a little bit about yourself.
Hey everybody, it's great to be here, and I'm a new member of Queens, Your Queens, sorry, and I started off as a drummer with Your Queens, and I'm matriculated up to an actual king. I got my crown, you know what I'm saying? I was awarded my crown. Now, but I'm from the X2. I'm from the Bronx. I was born and raised in the Bronx, birthplace of hip hop, and I went to Adelphi, Columbia, and I'm excited to be here.
Excellent. Look at this Bronx energy going on today. What's up with that? Bronx and BK.
I'm telling you.
I love it. So today we are talking Kwanzaa. And I know, again, I said it earlier. You're like, okay, Kwanzaa, that's in December. But a lot of times when we celebrate Kwanzaa, we go, oh, wow, we need to carry on these principles every day in our lives. And with Your Queen's been around for 6 years now, and we've had 4 Kwanzaa celebrations since we've launched it. And every time we do it, I start to notice that we are actually living the Kwanzaa principle. So it's one topic that we don't only want to celebrate in December. So we brought it up today, and we're going to start kicking it off. But before that, for those of you guys who don't know what Kwanzaa is, Kwanzaa was started in 1966 by Dr. Malana Karanger and a committee of other amazing scholars. And the goal was to have it during December 26th to January 1st, where we celebrate 7 Kwanzaa valuable principles. You have Umoja, which means unity, to strive for and maintain unity in the family, community, nation, and race. We have Kujichagulia, one of our queen's favorite, Rashina, self-determination, to define ourselves, name ourselves, create for ourselves, and speak for ourselves. Then we have Ujima, collective work and responsibility, to build and maintain our community together and to make our brothers and sisters' problems our problems, to solve them together. Y'all heard that one? Ujima, that's a powerful one. Ujama, or some people would say Ujama, cooperative economics, to build and maintain our own stores, shops, and other businesses, and to profit from them together. Then we have Nia. Yes, one of our queens. There she goes. Favorite one. I think one of her favorite. Yes. To make our collective vocation the building and development of our community in order to restore our people to their traditional greatness. That's one of my favorite. Purpose, Nia. Next up is Koumba, creativity, to do as much as we can in the way that we can in order to leave our community more beautiful and beneficial than we inherited it. And last one, Imani, my fave, to believe with all our hearts in our people, our parents, our teachers, our leaders, and the righteousness and victory of our struggle. Celebrate Kwanzaa. Again, we are Your Queens with Behind the Crown, and we are here for season 2, episode 3. And I want to get started with the first question is, what is your favorite Kwanzaa principle and why? Let's see who wants to go first. You know I'm going to call on you, Shannon. Let's go, Queen. What is your favorite Kwanzaa principle? And then for our audience, feel free to chime in. Let us know your favorite Kwanzaa principle. And if you're tuning in, definitely share this out with your family and friends. We're live on Facebook and YouTube. Take it away, Shan.
Well, of course, like you mentioned, my favorite Kwanzaa principle is Nia. I mean, I'm a little biased because my middle name is Nia, but that's not just the only reason why it's my favorite principle. It's also my favorite principle because it speaks to purpose and not solely just you focusing and zoning in on your purpose, but using that purpose to bring together the community and building the community to our traditional greatness. So every time I read that definition for the principle, it just really stands out to me about rebuilding us to our traditional greatness. Because a lot of times, especially in Your Queens, we always talk about we didn't start from our trauma. Before the trauma of being enslaved, there was a lot of greatness coming from our people and our ancestors that we stand on the shoulders of. So I just feel like it's so important for us to use our purposes, our individual purposes, to work together for the greater good of everything that is going on, where we want our people to be, how we want to be recognized and seen in the world. So a lot of times when we do things, and I know this is a collective energy in Your Queens and the people that we are connected to as a whole, is that we do things for our community. Like the community is always in our mind, you know? And also, you know, I just got to throw out there that I am a sister of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. And our whole model is being a community conscious, action oriented organization. So for me, being immersed in the community, thinking of ways to better it, using my own personal gifts and talents and just things that I can help to empower us collectively has always been really important to me. So that's why Nia will forever be my favorite Kwanzaa principle. I love all the principles, but you know, and of course, like I said, it's in my name. And my mom said she knew that when she gave birth to me that I was going to be born for a great purpose. And my mom was a teenage mom. So a lot of people told her that they didn't feel like she should have a child at the time that she did, and that she, you know, had her whole life in front of her. But she said that something in her just told her that that I was going to be great. In her mindset and her feeling of me being in her womb, she just felt like there was a greatness that she was going to give birth to, and she couldn't just let me go. So I really take my middle name to heart of having purpose literally in my name. So that's why Nia will always forever be my favorite Kwanzaa principle.
Sis, you already know, you live a life of purpose. Amen. You live a life of purpose. And a quick story, and I've told. Hi, Williamson. We appreciate you. Peace and blessings, King. Thank you for being here. You live a life of purpose, and I've shared this story before. When we first met, well, we talked on the phone through Mickey, but what did we do when we first met each other in front of everyone? We like screamed and hugged each other.
Screamed. Like, you would think that, I don't know what people thought probably was happening, but we literally screamed.
And it's been like that type of vibe since then. But something I wanted to share is, yeah, exactly. Something I'm reading our comments on the side, y'all. Something I wanted to share was, I always say that to you as well. There is greatness in you. I'm like, girl, you ain't even stepped in yet. The things that's coming, you're like about to be the next Oprah. Just know that. I'm gonna just put that out there. All right. But I would love.
And I'll be there.
What'd you say?
I'm gonna be
you be
there.
down? Oh, for sure.
We are out here. Why they gave me a mic? I just, you know, we coming. But I received that, and I always say that every time. And I'm gonna always say this anecdote when we speak. I'm gonna always call her Miss Eki. I'm really trying to remove the myths, but I just really received that, and I thank you for always pouring that into me from literally the moment that we've met, because I'm still trying to figure out fully what it is, what the purpose is. I have bits and pieces, but you know, they come together as time goes on. And I just am grateful to be in a community, having Angie and Nathaniel and all of our royal fam that just pours into each other, because you all have been a vital part of me connecting the pieces. So
I'm not ready to sing right now. I'm not ready to thug life.
You know, that's why I'm gonna just stop talking. We just gonna
no tears. Ja Logic said mine is me as well. There's nothing like knowing your purpose. Ja, you are magical. You already know. That's our brother. Just love. We appreciate you. Peace and blessings. Thank you for being here. Redemption. Salute. Thank you, Redemption. We appreciate it. Hope you're doing well. Feeling good. I want to jump into Queen Taj. What is your favorite Kwanzaa principle and why?
Appreciate you, sis. It's hard because they're all so beautiful and they're all so important. I think for me, I have three favorites, so I'll be brief. But my favorites are Imani, Faith, Kaumba, Creativity, and Ujima, Collective Work and Responsibility, because I think they're so interconnected. The work that I do with young people at Teens Take Charge and with students Break the Silence really brings them together. And the thing about our people that I always remind folks is like, the greatness in us manifests in so many different ways. And a lot of that comes out as different kinds of art, right? Music, fashion, design, painting, visual art, performance art. And so I try to use that as an entryway to just to uplift our youth in particular. Because it's difficult, as a young person, when folks tell you an inaccurate story about yourself, and then you have to kind of put the pieces back together and figure it out before you can step into that greatness that you guys are talking about. So before we even get to a place where we have to retrain a child, we're really working on never having to. We're not trying to have these babies broken in the first place. And so when I think about self-determination, I think about what does it look like to give Black children the space to choose themselves and choose for themselves who they want to be, how they want to be, how they want to wear their hair, right? How they want to dress, how they want to present themselves, as opposed to having to mold themselves to these white supremacist structures that they encounter every day in school. And then the creativity piece is part for that too, is a big part of that too, because so much of their creativity is stifled under the guise of professionalism or under the guise of academia, right? That's not appropriate, right? But this is my culture. How can my culture, be quote unquote inappropriate? So I think kind of fitting those things together in a way that just allows Black youth to shine is what makes them my favorite, because the babies, they have everything in them when they're born, and then it's stripped away from them. So creating spaces where we can help them retain it, right? Because it's there. It's never, it's not something they have to get from somewhere. It's in them at birth. So just creating safe spaces for them to nurture their innate gifts and creativity, and really giving them opportunities and resources to figure out, hey, what is it that I want to do? And then allowing them the space, to do those things and to do them in an excellent way, and be healthy and successful along the way. So yeah, I'm rocking with Kuumba and Ujima and Nia for sure.
100%. Yeah, I mean, with the work that you do, and especially for our youth, it's definitely, I mean, it's important all the time, but especially around this time in the midst of everything that we've experienced. Of course, the pandemic, and we've experienced also racial uprising, which it's been constant. So I even think, like I was telling Shannon, I've even said it before, being an educator, being an advocate, being a leader, it's such a selfless job because it's bigger than you. It's your purpose. It's bigger than who you are, and you're making a difference for the youth because you said creating safe spaces for them. I've learned, as well as a teacher, I find myself having to, and I also think it's a gift, it's a calling and a gift to do this work, because you have to have a lot of patience, because there's so much conditioning that we have to do with them and teach. I had a student today in the 5th grade, and today is we were celebrating 100 days of school, but the teacher wanted to do like 1,000 days of school because they've been in the 5th grade. I calculated. So she had them write a letter to themselves 1,000 days from now, so where they'll be in the 10th grade. And one of my students had a very hard time to write about herself. So I literally, instead of being like, why you can't, instead of, sweetie, you're amazing, you're beautiful, don't you know that? You can graduate early. You're in the 5th grade right now. Just write it down. Just tell yourself you're proud of you. And if you're not feeling that way, I do understand. Just say that you're proud of yourself. You're going to accomplish this. I said, do you want good friends? She's like, yeah, write that down. You know what I mean? So it does take a lot of selflessness, a lot of heart, a lot of encouragement, and different things like that. So thank you for sharing, my love. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, that's what it looks like. Next up, King. Nate, can you jump on this one? What's your favorite Kwanzaa principle and why?
Yes. All right. So my favorite concept principle, and I appreciate hearing from all of you queens. My favorite has to be Ujama. And I have to say why. So me growing up, I don't know if many of you know, I am a Black Hebrew, and so I grew up as a Black Hebrew. I very pro Africa, but also specifically reconnecting the land of Israel to Africa. A lot of times people try to separate Israel and call it the Middle East, but many people don't know that, the Middle East and that whole Arabian Peninsula was considered Northeast Africa prior to the excavation of the Suez Canal in 1859. And so me not only being a Black Hebrew, and having that upbringing, we were always taught that the Black Jews or the Jews were Black people. And so even when before the Jews got into that land, there were Phoenicians and Canaanites there and Jebusites there and Havites there, and those are all African people. And so these people then mysteriously just turn white, right? And so and so the original people of that land, even when you go visit, like when my family lives down in the south in the Negev, the desert, those are like, you see Bedouin Arabs as well. You see some Christians there, the Druze, and you see the actual Hebrews, and you see some Indians as well that came from Cochin, and those are like Black Indians. I mean, like darker than a lot of us. And so Ujamaa, the story of Ujamaa for me, or even Kwanzaa, is interesting because, I did grow up acknowledging Hanukkah. I never treated it as Christmas. So it wasn't like a commercial holiday for us. For us, it was like a story about the book of the Maccabees. So if you read this book called the Apocrypha, it spoke about like the Maccabees and how the Maccabees fought off the Romans when they were trying to come into Judea. And then the Romans fled or caused the Israelites to flee into Africa. And then we went into places like Ethiopia, Uganda, West Africa, like Nigeria, Ghana, South Africa, Abba Udaya in Uganda. That's literally means people of Judah, which is like they came from Israel, basically. And so with that history, a lot of people connect the people who came from the African slave trade, the transatlantic slave trade to the Israelites. And so the West Africans, like the Nigerians, the Igbos, like in a certain dialect or etymology of Igbo, it means Hebrew. So cut a long story short, for me, I always grew up embracing Kwanzaa and Hanukkah, right? And so if you understand like Hanukkah, you see these candles, right? You see there's one candle in the middle, and then there's like 8 candles on each day. And that's because each candle lit the 8 days that the Romans were fighting against the Israelites, right? And then if you backtrack and look at the history of Kwanzaa, it was for us to celebrate our history because other people had their own versions of their history, and we needed something culturally to connect. And I could be, not telling the entire, origin of it, but that's the gist of it. And so I grew up very pro-Black, but also like Hebrew or Black Jew. And so I had that duality, right? And so Ujamaa for me stood out the most because I did a program when I was a junior in high school at Cornell University, which is why I became an engineer. It was called the Catalyst Academy. And at Cornell, and this is for Black kids or, kids who really weren't exposed to Ivy League schools. And so they introduced us to study STEM. They allowed us to produce green fluorescent protein and E. coli cells. And I'm a junior, right, in high school, and I don't know anything about this. And so I'm doing all this scientific research. And guess where we stayed at? The dorm we stayed at in Cornell was called Ujamaa. And so I'm like, whoa, like I knew all the names of all the principles, but I didn't really remember the meanings. I grew up in a Black school. I went to a private Black school that was spearheaded by a lady from St. Thomas. And it was a all Black school. She started by herself. It's closed now, but it was called Melrose Community School. And we grew up real Black. Every day was Black history for us growing up from kindergarten to 8th grade. And so going into high school, I went back into public school. But long story short, Ujamaa played a major role because I was always about money and just get into the bag. And I was hustling on the train, playing the drums. And so when I was like, economics, word? Cooperative economics, you got to work together. We got to get this money because you can say whatever you want when it comes to uniting our community. If you don't got the money to back it up, we ain't going nowhere. So it's that one. And then the last thing I'm going to end off is Kuji Jakalia. The reason why I like Kuji Jakalia is simply because of the way it sounds. Kuji Jakalia. Who didn't rock Coochie when they was growing up? You remember Coochie? It wasn't Gucci, it was Coogee. You know what I mean? Like the Australia Coogee. So Kuji Jakalia, self-determination, that was my second favorite. And I always love saying that. Kuji Jakalia. So that's about it. Yeah.
Facts. Please, Keenan. No, we all literally cracking up. You're so right. Just to say is like you really saying something powerful. But no, King, you just dropped so much on us. That was amazing. Thank you for that. I'm like, oh, we need to have him on here again for something else. My brain is already clicking. So I really appreciate you. I want no such thing as the Middle East. Okay. We love and light, love and light. Shout out to the tribe of Judah. Oh, love and light. We appreciate you. Um, can you just let them know really quickly what do you do? Your work. I don't know if you mentioned earlier.
So I study physics at Adelphi University, and there also shout out to the D9 in the group. I'm an alpha, by the way. I crossed out Adelphi back in 2013. And then I transferred. I was a part of this 5-year program called the 5-year dual degree program. So I got 2 bachelors, one in physics and then one in civil engineering. So I am a civil engineer by training. And I went back to school for my master's in construction management business at Columbia University. And so I'm an engineer, but I do a lot of project management on construction sites throughout the country, predominantly on the East Coast. And so I worked on projects like if you guys ever been to the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, I'm literally one of the only Black young engineers that was a part of the general contracting team to build that building. It's called the tallest modular building in the world. It's at 461 Dean Street.
Amazing. See, I
Yeah.
need you to share that. Thank you for sharing. Brilliant. My sis L is on here waving. I love and appreciate you. Um, since we're shouting out D9, y'all all know also I'm a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. We got D9 all over your queens. I love it. I love it. Next up, Impressive Redemption said she's listening to you. Queen Angie, you're up next. What is your favorite Kwanzaa principle or principles? Because I know we can't just pick one. They're all great, right? And why?
Sidebar, sorry, I had to say it. The thing I didn't even know you went to Melrose. I went to Melrose too, so we got to link up after this to find out if we probably was in the same class. But getting back to everything that everyone said some great things about their principles, and you really can't pick one. Um, I was listening to what everybody said, and I was really trying to like envision and meditate myself into a space where I could pick something. So if you would have asked me probably before January what I would have picked, I probably would have picked Kuumba. Because that was the space that I was in. But right now, I think the space that I am in now is Kujijakalia, to define ourselves. I 2021 was an embarkation of a new journey for me. I became a mom, and COVID is here, and I was a person who was always on the go 24/7, always had something to do, always was going to do something, be a part of something. And I literally, my whole world just stopped in 2020. Everything stopped. There was no more extracurricular activities. There was no more Your Queens. There was no more performances. There was no more talks. There was no more anything. So it was literally my life pause. As much as people on this panel is their life pause, but for me, it was a wake up call to have an internal journey of myself and to reinvent myself in this time so that when there is time to come back outside, when those days happen, that I am defining myself and creating space for other people to define themselves. So Kuchajakalia, self-determined, is something that I'm embodying right now because I'm doing the work to try to define who I am and take that responsibility and help others define who they are. So that's one of the most important principles to me at this time.
Thank you, Queen. And I just appreciate you even just making space. And now you said internal journey of self. That was deep. I love that. I think we can all connect with that. But even I'm gonna say you made space, although of course with the birth of Hudson and the time, you still made time for us though. You still made time and communicated, and that just creates more of the powerful queen that you are. You know, understand what I mean? So we thank you.
Why are
Had
you
a,
giving me chills over here?
oh yeah,
Why I'm getting chills over here. I'm like,
yeah, no, you
uh,
definitely.
it's been a
And
journey.
you are, I'll give you more. You're pretty much one of the reason why we have this podcast going. We talked
Mhm.
about this in 2019, and it was like, yep, we're gonna make it happen when the right time. And the right time came during COVID. We started going live on our Instagram. Logic had this opportunity. I was just going checking out his platform because I don't really watch TV like that. This was my TV, and yeah, we just launched it because of you. So yeah, thank you. I know I'm
Woo!
getting to
Again,
all right, I'm gonna
again.
jump to
You know, yes, we gotta jump. We gotta jump. We can't do this.
we're
We
jumping to
cannot.
the next question. I love you.
Woo!
Next
I love you
question.
too.
How do you carry this principle on your daily life, in your daily life? I'm gonna have Queen Taj start with that one. How do you carry your Kwanzaa principles in your daily life?
Y'all are so sweet. I love this space, man. I'm not even in your queens, and I feel like I'm a cry just because the
But
love,
you
man.
are in your
That's so
queen.
important.
Stop playing with us. You're
I
in it.
appreciate you. I just the energy is so beautiful, and you don't get that everywhere, unfortunately. There's a lot of spaces where you have every intention of building community and doing important work, and folks literally will not let you. The energy is not there, the commitment is not there, and so I really just want to take the time to name that and affirm you all. Um,
Thank you.
I don't like that it's the first time I'm in community with you all in this way, but it certainly will not be the last. So I just wanted to name that. Shannon, now that I'm sending you a costume. Man, how do I let it live in my daily life? I think I want to piggyback off of some of the beautiful things that Angie said as a mom as well. I think parents find, particularly black parents, because there's so many things that we have to guard our children from, right? I think that there's actually a lot of creativity that we have to utilize in order to parent our children in a white supremacist world. I think your queens, for example, is a living embodiment of that creativity, right? You saw a lack, right? You saw a lack of cultural competence. You saw a lack of representative staff. You saw a lack of accurate history being taught. And so you stood in the gap and you created what you wish existed. And I think that black parents are often using that kind of creativity without even realizing, just in the ways that we choose to move with our children, and how we choose to mother and how we choose to show up as fathers, and the ways that we choose, the things, the generational curses that we break just by thinking differently. For example, I don't hit my babies. Um, and I had to tell a few folks, well, listen, you don't have to come around if you're that mad about it, because those are my babies, right? Came out of my body. I'm the mama. And two, we have to revisit this idea, that children need to be broken in order to be, you know, quote unquote correct, right? And just thinking about some of the things that we endured as children, we thought they were acceptable at the time, because you trust your parents, you listen to your parents, you respect your parents. But as you grow older, as you move through the world, as you learn about oppressive systems, and you realize that some of those interactions and dynamics are taking place in your own home, it's like, whoa, man. And so I think, for me, creativity in the things, that the way that I choose to parent, right, and trying new things, and being okay, and allowing my children to be human beings, right? Kids gonna get mad sometimes. They're gonna have stank attitude sometimes. That's no different from you. We wake up with the crusty eyes with an attitude, okay? Sometimes your baby gonna wake up with an attitude, and that don't mean they don't love you, right? That don't mean they disrespectful. It just means they having a bad day, man. Um, so I think creativity for me, in my home life and in my mothering, and then also the gifts I hope that I'm able to impart on the young people in our schools. I'm a firm believer, in homeschooling and community schooling, but I also know that all of our babies don't get to, they don't have access to that. And so I try to use a both and approach, right? I want to build what I wish existed outside of the system, but I also want to attack the system. I also want to say, hey, superintendent, I noticed that there's one black teacher in this school. What's up with that? Hey, teacher, I noticed that it's Women's History Month, and you keep talking about Susan B. Anthony, and I haven't heard anything about all of these wonderful black suffragettes that were erased from history. Let's talk about that. Let me come in and talk to the kids for 40 minutes. Find a window for me, and I will come and do a workshop, right? So I think creativity is a big one for me, because I feel like our potential in that realm is truly limitless. We are such an adaptive, resilient, iconic people without even trying. So yeah, I think in my parenting and in my teaching, I'm hoping, that I'm living the principles.
No, you are. You are. Everything you said was just Powerful. And I even think, as you're saying, like when you go into the schools, like, no, we need to see this or make space for me to present it. I was initially going to say, yeah, those are the uncomfortable conversations, right? But no, let's make that comfortable. Let's make that what really is. But even going back to what you're saying about being creative as a parent, it comes with so many layers, listening to your children, because they're whole human being themselves. You know what I mean? They have 10 fingers, 10 toes, all of that. A brain, they understand, they feel, they have energy as well. They're young, but they still know what's going on. And they're probably even more, of course, they're pure than we are. So their mind is open. And you said, I want to reiterate, creativity, nurturing, listening to them. That's a big one. 2 ears, 1 mouth for a reason, right? Providing, affirming them, and also paying attention to their gifts and nurturing their gifts. I love that. I love that. Thank you. Shannon, you're up next.
Hey. So I definitely wanted to speak to something that Taj said. Like I was thinking about this the other day. Like, you know, I don't know if in your friend groups you ever get into these discussions and it may be subconscious. You don't realize that it's happening. But when you were talking about, you know, putting your hands on your kids or like as a disciplinary action, and sometimes I be in these conversations, it's like, oh, because my mom used to hit me. And it's like, no. But my mom, she really hit me. And I'm like, why? Why are we making this a competition? This is a problem. Like, we need to heal from this. This is not the way to go. Why are we doing this? So that made me think about that when you were talking about that. Like, we need to change that dynamic and making that a badge of honor. Like, there's something wrong here. Like, we need to change the way that we do that. And also when you were talking about, you know, with kids not taking things personal. And it's so funny, like, it just always shows me how things are connected, because that's a conversation I was having earlier with a few of my faculty members that I work with. And we were saying, you know, we were talking about the best piece of advice we've ever gotten. And one of the teachers is saying the best piece of advice he's ever gotten is, you know, learning that students are sometimes the way they're acting towards you is not a personal attack. Just like you said, they may have woken up in a bad mood, or they may just not be feeling it today. And I have some days where my kids are like that when I'm teaching them. And especially as a new teacher, I take everything to heart sometimes. Like every little thing, I'm like, oh my God, they don't like me. But I'm starting to learn, like, it's not about me. They're just having a bad day. And that's why I start off my classes, especially in my small groups, you know, about, you know, how are you feeling today? Did you eat breakfast today? You woke up late today? You stayed up late? What you watching on Netflix? What you doing over here? Like, and you know, some of them, they are super engaged in the conversation. And some of them are like, why do you ask me about breakfast every day? But I'm learning and I'm seeing that even though they think they're resisting me, they're coming over, and I'm affirming them, and I literally take notes on what my kids are saying. Like, oh, he talked about cars yesterday, so I'm gonna just throw something in about cars. I make it seem like I know about cars, even though I don't, because now we're connecting. So, you know, that listening element, especially with kids, like you really have to listen to them. They are their own beings, and we have to stop, you know, coddling them in some regards, or thinking that they're not going to be able to receive something or understand something. They understand a lot more than we give them credit for. So yeah, I definitely wanted to say that to the points that you made. But yes, bring Hudson to me, okay? I'm gonna teach him all the things about science, and by then I'll probably be like a classroom teacher. So I'll teach him all.
Sidebar, guys. I just texted and shit, and it was like, I can't wait till my son is school age, because I got my kindergarten, pre and pre-K teacher down. Like, I'm like, all right, I'm great. That's gonna be a king right there. From 7 in the morning when I drop him off till 4 in the afternoon, I'm gonna pick him up. He's gonna be
all day. You're gonna be with me, and we're gonna be doing affirmations, because I definitely sneak affirmations into my classes. I call it a reading room affirmation. We talk about reading in it, but you know, a lot of it is about other things. But to get to the point, because y'all know I will take this show on a whole different tangent. So the way that I live purpose in my everyday life, or live Nia in my everyday life, is definitely through the things that I do, like being a teacher. I talk about it every time I'm on the podcast. I talk about it in almost every conversation that I have with everyone, but it's because I love teaching, and I just feel like I'm in a place now where I'm doing something that I truly, truly, truly love. And I feel like I'm able to access all of these different parts of me, creativity, my love of education. I'm very passionate about going against the school to prison pipeline. So now I feel like I'm a part of that solution process. Now I'm one of those teachers in the classroom that they can see. I'm not just fighting for this on the outside of the system. Now I'm in the system, so I can be one of those change agents within it. So I think definitely being a teacher has helped me live even more in my purpose. And the other reason why I feel so purposeful in it, and every day I wake up and I'm excited to do it, is because I was in a place, or I was in a career that I thought was so perfect for me, beyond perfect for me. I was like, this is it. Media is my life. News is it. I'm going to educate the community on what's going on out here. I'm going to break down the stories. And I came to realize that wasn't for me. I enjoyed my time there. I don't ever want anyone to think like I didn't enjoy my time. I learned a lot about myself there. But even in my role as an educator, I can still take what I learned as someone who went to school for journalism and all those different things. Like, I'm still using that in my everyday life. I'm just building upon it in a more impactful way for me. So that's one way that I definitely do it. Being in Your Queens is a way that I live out my purpose. That education, that Black history, bringing it to life, literally bringing it to life through the embodiment of our ancestors. And there's something else that I'm working on behind the scenes, that I think is going to bring me even closer to the purpose of what I want to do in life. And something about purpose, though, that I always like to bring attention to, especially after I was enlightened on this, is your purpose is not one thing, right? It's a bunch of little things that add to your being. So I feel like every time I do something that makes me passionate, that helps me serve others, which is something I really love to do, and just helps me grow as a person, it's a part of my purpose as a being. But your purpose is not this one narrow thing. And I used to think that, and it used to drive me insane. And I used to just, anything I did, is this my purpose? Is this my purpose? And my mom would always say, Shannon, stop driving yourself insane about this. Like, when you walk in purpose, you don't have to question it. You know it. So I just want to put that out there for someone who may be like me right now, or who may be coming out of that mind space and is right there. Your purpose is not this one narrow pathway. It is a bunch of different things that make up who you are, and it works together. And then at the end of your story, whenever God feels it's time to call you home, those are the things we spoke about before about legacy. Those are the things that are going to live on from your legacy, but it all added to your purpose when you do that reflecting work. So that's how I live it in my everyday life. Purpose is just like, it's just life. Like, it's just you living life, figuring it out, healing, and all those different things. That's all a part of your purpose.
Bravo. Thank you. You're such a profound speaker. I appreciate you. Thank you for that. For those who are tuning in just now, welcome. We are Your Queens, and we are doing season 2 Behind the Crown Talk series. Today we're talking Kwanzaa principles, and I right, Kwanzaa. We're so routine. We're talking Behind the Crown Talk series. We appreciate y'all for tuning in. I got my Queen Shannon on here, my Queen Angie, our King Nathaniel, and one of our beautiful, dynamic, powerful guest speaker, Queen Taj, on here. And we're talking Kwanzaa. The next question is, how are you living your favorite Kwanzaa principle on your daily life? Definitely chime in the comments. Let us know. And Queen Angie, you are up next.
Wow. So I'm gonna get a little bit vulnerable with you guys right now in terms of how I thought I was living Coogee Jackalia. And I had a really good friend talk to me in a very professional way to let me know that I wasn't being my authentic self. I was being a person who looked for what was in society to dictate the person that I was supposed to be. I saw that if you go to school, you get good grades, you get a great job, then you build your future. That comes with a white picket fence, a big house, a family, and so on and so forth. And that's what I thought that you did. I thought you did those type of things. But in coming into an adulthood and coming into a womanhood, that's not how life is. And it's not how life is for Black people. Um, our life has been different because we were forged on a different path. We were told that we couldn't do things and we couldn't be people and we couldn't have these upper echelon blue collar jobs and make figures. We were supposed to be McDonald workers or work at city jobs, and that's it. Um, we were not told that we can be a doctor, a professor, an engineer, a person who manages projects for Barclay Center, or a person who can educate people and enlighten people, or people who can be motivational speakers. We were never taught that in school at growing up. We were literally told, hey, you're just going to be a regular worker, a basic individual. And growing up and learning that, I felt that I had to look out to society to see what my purpose was. And now, going into my next chapter in life, I really found that that's actually false. I need to look inside myself and find what I can be to other people and what I can bring to the table for myself. I don't need to be compared to other people and what society wants me to be impactful and to be able to create a legacy. And that, I think, has been the hardest lesson that I've been dealing with since the pandemic, because I always looked for other people for validation. And I'm affirming that in the last past couple of weeks that I am validating myself, that I'm okay with myself, I'm okay with my vulnerability, I'm okay with the fact that some people may not like me because my tone is different. Some people may not like me because I have a very demeaning, and I'm a demeaning individual. When I come into a room, I mean business. And that's okay if you don't like me, but at the end of the day, you're going to respect me, and that's the difference. So that's something that I literally, as coming into being, and it took that friend, shout out to, you know who you are, because you just know who you are. It took that person to really break it down to me, to just be like, listen, Ange, like, you really, really need to dig within yourself, and you really need to fix yourself. Not that something is wrong with you, but you need to fix yourself because you're looking for something that you have inside of you and you've always had inside of you. Ever since the day I've met you, you've always been a passionate individual. You always had a purpose. You always had the drive to do something, but you were always looking for other people to validate that purpose. And that's not what it is. You need to validate that purpose for yourself. And she said, as you step into motherhood, your validation is in front of your face. The fact that this young king looks at you like you are his everything is validation enough that you are everything and everything to the world. So respect that and grow from that and become the person that I know that you can be. And I'm going to end it there.
Whew, whew. I felt all of that. I know, right? We're all saying in the comments, whoo. It was a moment I got choked up because, I'm an empath and I feel you. So I'm like, oh my God. But thank you for your transparency and just being so open about that. It's so real. And I know that it touched someone that's listening. It touched me, and for anyone that's listening as well. Angie, But it's even that thing, like being who you are, no matter what, people are going to feel uncomfortable sometimes, or they're going to be all up in it. Like, oh my God, I vibe with you. You're in a similar tribe. Like your energy is bomb, instead of there's no way to feel intimidated or anything because you're standing in your truth. How beautiful is that? I'm proud of you.
Yeah, I just gotta jump in because
Please.
I'm literally writing on the side. Like, Angie, I am so proud of you for even having this vulnerability moment. Like, me and Angie, we go back now. Now we could be like, we go way back. We go back in time, back in the day. And I have seen the growth in you, like through so many different areas and aspects. You know, we've connected in so many different realms, and like just seeing this growth, just you saying, I'm about to have a vulnerable moment. I was like, wait a minute. We being vulnerable, like I love this for us. Like,
I think I just did a testimony.
Listen, we've been vulnerable to each other, but like for you to share that for others to hear it and see it, like that, this is beautiful. Like I just, let me just get out of here. Also, Mickey, like you look gorgeous right now. Let me just talk to you.
Shout out to Mickey coming right into Mississippi, looking gorgeous. Look at that skin. Yes, Mickey. Come on. How you doing, boo?
I'm doing well. Hi, everyone. I apologize for my tardiness. And Shaliqua says hello. We are working on
it. We are a family. We are a community. Hi, gorgeous. Good to see you.
So correct me if I'm wrong. Are we being vulnerable, or what's the question? And shout out to you, Angie. I was in the background. I was like, oh.
I got you in 1 second. I got you. I'm going to have King Nathaniel answer that question, and then we're all going to answer the final question together. So you jumped in at a perfect timing. No problem. Good to see you.
Well, so the first thing I want to say is, first of all, I'm in the presence of goddesses. So, like, literally, man, like the way I was raised is that, God is God, right? There's only one God, right? But the mother of the family is the first God, because the mother is the person that is nurturing the child. So the child is always going to look at the mother as the dominant figure. To be honest, the father's supposed to lead his family, right? He's supposed to take care of the family. In the normal African structure, there's God, there's the father, the mother, and then the children. Not in a hierarchy like setting where the woman is supposed to be like this submissive, like ultra submissive person. No, it's not supposed to be like that. We all have our roles, right? But the mother literally is God to the child prior to them even knowing who God is, right? You don't even know where you're getting your milk from unless you go, mommy. You ain't asking your dad when you're hungry. You ain't crying to your daddy. You crying to your mama, right? And so, like, even when your parents pass, like my dad passed, right? God rest his soul 3 years ago, right? And so he passed, and I felt a little hurt, and I was like broken. But if my mother would have, if they would have traded places, it would have been like, no, I would have been crazy, right? So I'm gonna cut this short because I know we have a time slot. But Angie, I want to just thank you for being vulnerable, because you broke the ice for other people to like start being a little bit more honest with themselves about how they're carrying on their characters with these principles. Because a lot of times when you're on broadcast shows like this, you don't want to be vulnerable, and you want to just like, yeah, positivity, greatness. Yes, we rising, we royalty. Nah, F that. You said I'm vulnerable, and this is who I am, and you're also bringing it into your progression as a woman. So I really commend you on that. And so the principle, or how I'm applying that principle of Ujamaa, cooperative economics, is something very important to me, because like I said, a nation can get nowhere without economics and collective strategies on how we are going to make this money, get to the bag, basically. And one of my favorite African-American heroes is Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey wasn't only a Pan-Africanist, he was a financial, like, god. Literally, he literally created a Black Star Line back in the 1920s. This is a Black man from Jamaica. You know what I mean? Coming all the way from Jamaica, coming up to America like, yo, Booker T. Forget all this inclusion stuff. Let's just go back to Africa. We got millions of Black people around the world. Let's create this United Universal Negro Improvement Association, right? And one of the founders of my specific community of African American Hebrews was one of his right-hand men. His name was Rabbi Arnold Josiah Ford. And Rabbi Arnold Josiah Ford and him, they were like, a lot of people don't know about Rabbi Ford because Marcus Garvey was the man, and he never really adopted the religion or the culture of Hebrewisms or stuff like that. He was just pro-black. It was like, if you're Muslim, if you're Christian, if you're a Jew, whatever, I don't care about none of your religion. We black. Let's come together. Let's sell this stock, right? He was selling stock back in the 20s. He had a shipping company back in the 20s. He had a whole ship about to ship stuff back to Africa before COINTELPRO infiltrated his whole movement. And that was through the FBI allowing them to infiltrate us because, you know, once we get a little piece of cake, you know what I mean? We feel like we could trade, you know, be traitors to our own people. And you see that a lot in the recent movie, Judas and the Black Messiah. And that's just a very, very up-to-date version. You know, this has been going on since the 1600s, you know what I mean? Not even before that. And so cooperative economics, literally, in my perspective, is a sacrifice, right? And so you can secure the bag, but the average dude on the block is a crab in the barrel, right? The average dude is gonna like, okay, I want to feed my family, and that's it, right? When you go in my hood, if you're making money, the next dude on the block is not wanting the next dude to make money. Why? Because that's gonna be taken from his pot. And so the key word in economics or the key word in Ujamaa is cooperative, right? Cooperative means you're going to secure the bag, but you might have to share a few cents of that bag to the other community because of the other people of the community, because we got to work together. And so how am I applying that in my life? Okay. Back when my father died, right, back in 2017, I was like, okay, what will my father's legacy be, right? When he died, I'm his youngest son, right? And so I felt like I was the heir to the throne. I got to do this. I got to, you know, I'm an engineer. I'm making six figures. Yeah, I'm securing the bag. But what the hell am I doing for my community? Right? Okay, I'm building a building in Brooklyn, but some people are being kicked out of their communities because of the gentrification projects that I'm working on, right? And so one of the things that I was doing while I was working with Turner was I was allowing more people, and I was a part of a community that was allowing more people to get affordable housing units in the building I was building. So they were literally trying to literally auction off these affordable units to rich people with just discounted prices. And I'm like, wait, hold up. The contract says, you know, and I could read, they hated me for this. I'm like, the contract says 50% affordable housing. 50%. So if you got people applying for affordable housing, why are you rejecting them from this building? And these are the buildings they grew up in. You know, gentrification has its pros, it has its cons, but it's gonna happen. That's the reality, right? And so if that's the reality, how can we evolve, right? One of my teachers in the Hebrew community said, we got to stop solely being revolutionaries. We got to be evolutionaries, because you ain't gonna get far just being a Fred Hampton black fight the power. You're gonna end up getting popped, right? You got to evolve with the culture and learn how to strategize with your enemies. You don't have to join forces with them, but you have to strategize with them, because your enemy may be more powerful than you. But in that particular moment, that doesn't mean you got to go all AWOL and just say, nah, we're not messing with that. So you have to learn how to use the people in these colleges, in these fraternities, in the school system, in the banking industry, and in the agriculture industry, right? And in economics and the stock market. We got to use these people to get back to our community. The last thing I want to say is that I would love for all of y'all to follow Hebrew scholars, because that's another way I'm trying to really, really sincerely give back to my community, because I really don't like teaching. I don't like kids that much, right? Eki, you know, when I was on my first show, one little transparent kid who didn't have no melanin was like, no, we're not gonna play fair. And I was like, you know, you was like, keep the ball rolling. I'm like, all right. But one thing I do love doing is I love giving back to my community and providing the resources for people to learn. Right. So let's say there's a kid who needs to go to college. If you follow my program on Instagram, you'll see more about what I'm trying to say. And I shared the website. It's called ryhsp.org. I started that scholarship as a $4,000 annual scholarship to people in our community who want to not only just go to college and get a check, but to connect to their biblical history. right? Because I really believe in prophecy. I believe in the Bible. I believe God sent us here and it was a curse because we didn't believe in his laws and we didn't obey him. And so he punished us because we are not slaves and we didn't come from slaves. We were enslaved, right? And we were enslaved for a particular reason. And the way I was raised is we were enslaved because we disobeyed God, right? And so I'm trying to get people back into their knowledge of self as the true chosen people of God. But I'm giving a scholarship out to those people while giving them the resources to connect Black people back to the Holy Land of Israel, as it speaks of in the Bible. So that's all I gotta say.
Everything you said, every single thing you said, and I appreciate you for being here today in this live. Two takeaways is there's enough for everyone. We have to know that. And even with every single thing that you shared, what kept on popping in my mind is as we're doing this work together, because when everyone's not going to see together, but as long as we listen to each other, we support each other, and we take nothing personal, we'll continue to grow. Like real talk, and not only talk, but action towards that and being real. And you are also being very transparent as well. Dope. I saw some comments that we got to miss. Also was saying she loves Marcus Garvey. That's my sister. Mills was on there. Helen Marie say thank you for sharing your beautiful transparency. That was for Angie. You are everything and I was waiting for that. And everything in the world. You need to have that up. Read that every day, Angie. Right there.
Hey, Eki, I'm sorry to interrupt. Can I share one more thing? It's going to take 2 seconds.
Go ahead.
So the last thing I wanted to share is the quote that I had posted a long time before I was talking. And it was a quote that my dad said before when he was on his deathbed. And he was saying, doubt only exists when one intends to execute failure. If one eradicates, get rid of doubt, then greatness or very great lessons become the only result. So you only yield a lesson or greatness from not doubting yourself. So the first thing you need to do is never, ever doubt yourself, especially because we are the original inhabitants of the earth. Everybody else came after us. They came out of our loins. So they should not be succeeding at things that we think we can't succeed at. And then the last thing I'm going to say is at 5 o'clock this morning, the same thing I was talking about with the connection of our people to to Africa, West Africa, and Israel. I was speaking about on a radio show at 5 a.m. And I was on iHeartRadio, WDRB or something like that radio. And I'm going to be doing that every first Wednesday of the month at 5 a.m. Because of the first interview they did, the whole iHeartRadio was like, we got to get them back because we need to tell our people who we are and stuff like that. So I'm going to be on that radio show every Wednesday, every first Wednesday of the month at 5 a.m. I'll share that with y'all later, though.
I was just about to say, thank you for sharing that. I was going to say that this is the time, but it's always the time. It's always the time to share. I'm going to have Mickey jump on. We're going to jump on our last question. Neffy said, thank you for sharing. But I'm going to give you a duo question, Mickey, and then please remind me, peace, Chris Jones, we see you. Please remind me, Angie, you go right after Mickey, and then I'm going to have Queen Taj go. Nate and then Shannon, okay, to close it out. So let our people know Behind the Crown season 2. Welcome everyone. We thank you for being here. What is your favorite Kwanzaa principle? And then what advice do you have for our audience to continue these valuable principles?
Wow, such a loaded question. So I actually do not have a favorite Kwanzaa principle because I find that they're all equal depending on the situation and the experience. I would definitely say when it comes to economics and working together, cooperative, responsibility, and economics are probably my top tier. The reason being the only way we are going to grow, and I'm learning this as a teacher, as an educator, is if we work together. And it also depends on how we speak to each other. And so many times we're always speaking at someone. We're always speaking at someone and we're not really listening to them. And until we begin to actually open our ears, open our minds and our hearts, we are not going to be able to accept what that person is saying. And then for the second part, I would definitely say that I would definitely say that until we can all come to the realization that it is okay to agree to disagree, we're always going to have a disconnect, and there will always be disparities among our own groups, among other groups, and etc.
That was well said, and makes me think of something Nate said too, and that's in like in what you shared even about the Bible. For me, I know the story of God being mad at us. I know that some people, other people could hear that, be like, whoa, 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 I'm gonna get off this live. That's fine, but be open. And as long as you know in the foundation, a lot of times we'll get confused and get upset because we may not understand what a person is saying. But I always realize a lot of times when you listen to each other, you're saying the same thing. That makes sense. I love how you're saying the same thing. It's just one voice is just trying to the ego and all this. But I've learned that when you know the common denominator is love and peace and purpose, you can get through anything. Thank you, Mickey, for sharing.
I definitely want to add on because you
Yeah,
said something that is so important. When you know your purpose, then it won't be for anyone to take that away from you. When you're driven in your purpose, then you'll be able to excel and grow. So I love the fact that
period,
you said the word purpose.
period, period. Yeah. So again, our final question is, what advice do you have for our audience to continue these valuable lessons? Y'all definitely continue in the comments. We love and appreciate y'all for supporting Your Queens, the first ancient African royalty company to teach about African royalty through storytelling, song, and dance. Yes, you can book us for birthday parties, daycare centers, school events. We are here for you. Your Queen's household name, you already know. Let's go. Crowns up. Queen Taj, take it away.
Oh man, how can we live these every day? These, first of all, these are such good questions. Second of all, I love y'all, and this is nice, and I just don't want to leave because listen, let me tell you something. The pandemic is beating my ass. Okay, I got my mommy hat on. I got my remote working hat on. I got my community activist hat on. I got my organizing hat on. I got my activist, because they're different, right? Being an activist and being an organizer, right? Those are two different bags of very particular fruit. But I'm just gonna keep saying that I love y'all and I appreciate this space, because if you're in 11 meetings a day and 10 of those bad boys is full of terrible energy and folks who don't want to see you win, or who don't want to admit, the inequities, for example, that some folks are talking about, that just, it's so draining. So while I'm here, I just want to love on y'all, because I want you to be able to take that with you to the next meeting and the next day and the next fight. But I think the way that we all, live these principles day in and day out really is what Mickey said about, and what Eki said as well, about just understanding that Black folks are the common denominator, right? And what does it look like to love my neighbor and their Blackness, regardless of how it manifests, right? What does it look like to love my hood neighbor as well as I love my professional neighbor, as well as I love my fat neighbor, as well as I love my thin neighbor, as well as I love my neighbor with natural hair, as well as I love my neighbor with the bundles? What does it look like to just love all the Black folks? What does it look like to support all the Black folks? What does it look like to have that space where we, agree to disagree, but we do it with integrity, right? Because agree to disagree, that's what these white folks be trying to use. And I know that in our community, we have the nuance to do it in a way that has integrity, right? Not just, I don't like this thing, so let's stop the conversation. But okay, we're not seeing eye to eye right now, but I'm still not gonna let anyone harm you. I'm still not going to let anyone hurt you. I'm still not going to let anyone cast doubt on your humanity, right? And I think that's just what it looks like, being open and understanding, that even as community leaders and activists and educators, right, we don't know everything. There might be someone on this live that knows so much more than me about a particular topic. And it's not for me to, go back and forth with them or try to denigrate them because I'm an educator or because I'm an organizer, right? It's for me to say, well, okay, I didn't even think about it like that. I didn't even think about it like that. Tell me more. And I'm going to do my own research. You gave me that resource. I'm actually going to look that up. I'm going to Google that. And I'm going to come back to you and say, you know what? Let's have a conversation. because we're doing this for the love, right, and for the community and for the future is also, I think, a really great framework, right? This is not for today and tomorrow. This is, what is the world that we want to create for our babies? What is the world? What do we want our communities to look like in 30 years, right? What is the space that we want Hudson to step into when he's my son's age? And I think that is what, that's what it all has to come down to. Because if that's the framework, if that's the methodology with which we are building community, we can't lose.
Queen, that was everything. And you just brought it such full circle. My sister had a comment on there. I saw some comments coming up. A few things. Oh, she said, yes, love all the neighbors. I know my sister's loving you, Taj. I know she is. She's probably gonna have a conversation with me, like, so where did you get this guest from? I need to talk to her. I know she's going to. She's loving this. I could feel it. Nefertiti said, King Nathaniel, can you repeat the quote about doubt that your father shared with you one more time, please? And Angie, you
Yes,
are
of
next.
course. So doubt only exists when one intends to execute failure. I'm gonna say that one more time. Doubt only exists when one intends to execute failure. If you eradicate doubt, only greatness and wait, what was it? Greatness and only lessons and greatness are the result. I'm paraphrasing what he said, but it's doubt only exists when one intends to execute failure, right? So the only way you could be a failure in life is if you doubt yourself, because you ain't trying, right? And then, if you want to get rid of doubt, eradicate doubt, once you do that, then greatness, you're going to yield greatness and be successful. And even if you're not as successful as you want to be, the main thing you're going to do is you're going to get a lesson learned so that you can be successful in the future. So doubt only exists when one intends to execute failure, and greatness. And if you eradicate doubt, then greatness and much lessons become the only result. So that's the quote. I also texted in the chat. It's more articulated in the actual text, but I'm paraphrasing. And I'm also drinking a little wine. I'm sorry.
Transparency. Side by Taj, your voice is beautiful. You remind me of Marsha Ambrosio and her. I love y'all. Now, this conversation is so dope. Like, you literally boosted. I always say every time we finish this, I'm like literally ready to fly and take over the world. Also said the doubt quote spoke to me. Bless you, brother. Yeah, my sister's loving this. I know she is. Is a sister energy. She's loving this. I wanted to touch on really quickly, and then Angie, something that Queen Todd said. She was like, you have to know also wearing many different hats. And I'll say that sometimes to my queens. I'm like, hey, I'm about to put on the friendship hat. Hey, I'm about to put on this hat. I'm about to put on this hat. So we know and we communicate, right? So we know it's a balance. Like, oh, I know we're joking, but wait. Creative director hat on real quick. Because it's that balance. And there's something else very important that you said is also when it comes to listening. We're doing it, y'all. Like 30 years from now, like we are building this community. We're really, and it's going to take work. It's going to take challenging work and beautiful work as well. As long as we keep our mind clear, prayed up, focus. Nefertiti say thank you, Nathan, for repeating. Absolutely. Another thing you said was, if someone says something to you, and you could correct me, Queen Taj, and that you may not know, you go, I didn't even think about that. Tell me more. How dope is that? Instead of being, and then it's good to, as we are, I think for me, 2020 definitely was a moment for me to sit down and continue to do the healing work. I learned so much about myself of things I was creating in my head. That's wanted to share that earlier. The mind is so powerful. I was creating stories in my head that wasn't even going on and just taking things too personal. So once I learned that, like now I know, wait, Eki, did you just create that? Because the mind, is it really happened? Yes. Right. Let's keep it 100. So once I learned that, and it literally took me to sit still to go through those experiences. Queen Angie, take it away.
Oh, I mean, to follow up after the things that's just been said, I'm just like in a space right now where I don't know if you feel the energy, Eggy, but the empathedness is just like, I'm coming through the screen.
Yes.
The best advice I can give to someone is to get yourself a friend that is willing to be the most vulnerable with you to tell you who you are. Um, we all have our friends out in the world that are, we have different friends. We have social friends, we have work friends, we have girlfriends, and then we have that just majorly one friend who will tell you the truth even though the truth hurts. And that's the advice I
Well received. Thank you, Queen. Well received. Um, who did Tosh, did you went on this question? King Nate, can you answer this final question? And then Shannon will close it out.
All right. So the first thing I would say is to find your passion, right? So I'm gonna use Eki as an example for So Eki started Your Queens, uh, Your Queens, right, back in 2015, and she could have went, and just did a a normal job, and just say, I'm gonna retire and I'm gonna do this. And maybe she is doing that on the side. I don't really know her schedule like that, right? But she did start a nonprofit, and she followed her dream. She had an idea. And you know how they say when you're working and you're not really like you're having fun when you're working and you're passionate about it, it's not real work. Like that's when you get the real bag. That because for me, my principle was right, securing the bag and Ujama and cooperative economics, right? So like she literally created a platform where other people could express themselves, be creative, but still make money, right? And so like we can do this. Like we sometimes I was in a meeting on Friday, and this guy in the construction industry who went to Columbia, he had started at Morehouse first, but he went to Morehouse, Columbia, and MIT. He started his own company called TrackFlow, and he literally just sells contracts to construction job sites to manage ticket work. That's it. The ticket work is basically the work that changes when it's not according to the contract. It's a black dude. He graduated back in the recession, and he came from a family of construction workers, but they were not college people. But he was the cream of the crop of his family. So he like, wait a minute. I went to Ivy League. I went to Morehouse. I went to MIT. Why the hell do I gotta beg somebody for a bag? Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, you deserve it, but like at the end of the day, are you happy? Like just kissing ASS to somebody who used to whip your ancestors back in the day, like that literally takes a lot from you. And when I brought my friend there, he was saying like, yeah. And so me, I'm looking at possibly join forces with him, in the next 2 years, because at the end of the day, I'm looking like, look, I have all of the skills in the world, and as a black man, I'm still belittled. I'm still looked at as somebody who is incompetent. I have to prove myself every 5 seconds, basically. And I'm sure this is not a feeling that's exclusively mutual to. It's not exclusive to me. I'm pretty sure, and even some of you teachers or whatever other professions you have to deal with white counterparts, or even I gotta call a spade a spade. You got to deal with some Hispanic and Asian counterparts who want to be white, right? Or Indian counterparts who want to be white. That they just fall in line with that. But then you, somewhere deep in your soul, you're like, I'm too good for this. I'm too great for this. I'm too royal for this. So the main thing I would say is find your passion. And while you working your 9 to 5 or your 8 to 5 or whatever you working, you better be creating your Eki corporation. I'm gonna call it your Eki corporation. Create that on the side, right? Come up with what you really love to do and really just write it down. Be like, okay, this year I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna start this. I don't care if you make $100 a month doing it. It's something that you starting because it's something that it's your legacy, because you're gonna die working a job for somebody else's legacy, or you're gonna build your own. And nobody's saying quit your job and just be an entrepreneur. Nobody's saying that, because you will fail miserably if you just do that automatically without no expertise. But all I'm saying is to find out what you love, find out how what you love is contributing to the overall betterment of yourself, your immediate family, your extended family, your community, your people, and then the world. And so that's how I live my life. And I pray to God that we all find that entrepreneurial, creative, cooperative economic spirit within us, so that we could literally don't have to depend on these oppressors. Because one of my great leaders who led most Israelites that are Black Americans to the land of Israel, his name was Ben Ami. He literally, when I was in Guyana, he had a conference in Guyana. He was speaking to the people of Guyana. And he was telling the people of Guyana, look, I got to Israel and we've been there for 50 years as Black American ex-slaves, right? We've been there for 50 years. We went to Liberia first, went to with no money. People left their houses, their cars. They literally they had the vision and they had the faith and they had the belief in God, right? So literally, he said, do not allow your oppressors to write the last chapter of your history. And the only way you could do that is to fall in line with what they got planned for you, right? And if you're creating your Eki corporation, your Eki dynasty, then it's impossible for you to be forgotten in the world. So that's what I'm gonna leave y'all. We gotta secure the bag because we can have all these ideas, but we're not bringing our resources together, we will lose. And so, and that's not to scare any of y'all, but that's to motivate y'all to like just continue the legacy and secure the bag on the side with your regular job, but keep that creative spirit to remember your God power within inside you.
Thank you, King. I appreciate you. Truly. Thank you.
We tearing up right now. We're tearing up right now. We're really trying to keep it in. Shannon, I see it. Don't. I see it.
I don't know what like.
They share that with me. They share that. I don't even.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yikes! Whoa.
Whoa. Shannon.
I don't even know how to go on. No, seriously, King, while you were speaking, my whole like, I don't know if it's the energy, it's the I don't know, something's going on in my body, but it's not even my body, it's like my spirit, but it's good. It's a good thing. It's not bad. It's just like, woo, all right.
It's the vibe for me.
Oh my gosh, yes. Absolutely. I really felt like I had to walk away from the computer and go do something. Like that's I'm like, wait, I need to go do something right now. Like I just need to go buy an LLC right now. Like, I need to do something. But oh my gosh. Woo! I swear, every time we come together, I'm just like, I'm just so motivated to just get my life together. As much as people think my life is together, I promise you it's not. I'm a hot mess. But we working through it. We working through it one day at a time. But I think my advice, oh my goodness, is really aligned with what King Nate said, with finding your passion. And Todd, I see your message. The mess is so hot. Listen, it is so hot. Mickey, who has been riding with me since college, Miss Eki, Angie can all tell you. I will tell you every day that I'm a hot mess, and they will tell me that I'm not. And I'm like, listen, no, seriously, look me in my eye. All right, I'm a hot mess, but it's okay. I accept it. I accept my mess that is me, and we just gonna push through it. But the advice that I would give in terms of living and walking in your purpose is kind of what I mentioned before. Like your purpose is ever changing. It all comes together, but you have to do those things that make you feel passionate. It makes you feel fulfilled, and that's not always easy getting to that point, because something that fulfilled me today may not fulfill me tomorrow, but you have to move. And for me, God is the center of my life. So I'm gonna say it in this way. When God tells you to move, you have to move. When you get that feeling that it's time to upgrade, or you need to leave that place that you're in, you need to disconnect from that relationship or whatever it is, like you have to be obedient to that feeling. Because it's trying to push you into the next step. It's trying to push you into the greatness, And there's been so many times that I've been disobedient to what God is telling me to do because either I'm scared or I'm just like, God, I think you meant this for somebody else. You can't be talking to me because, but those are the moments that I know without a shadow of a doubt that it is God. Like it cannot be anybody else, because normally 9,000 times out of 10, when God is telling you to do something, or when you're getting pushed into that greatness, or you're getting pushed into that next level of you, it goes against what you think is for you. A lot of times it goes against what you think, it goes against what you think you're an expert in. And that's really how I've been living and purpose. And that is the advice that I would give to somebody else. When you get that feeling, whatever that feeling is for you, wherever it comes from for you, follow it, you know. And sometimes it's scary, and sometimes it's going to push you out of your comfort. And that's the other thing too. When you are being pushed into purpose, whether you're in purpose already, you trying to find purpose, or you're getting connected to purpose, you are going to have so many uncomfortable moments. I promise you, you are going to be like, wait, how is this really it? But on the other side of that uncomfortableness is the fire that is going to lead to your passion. So I say all of that to say, be comfortable with being uncomfortable. That is something that one of my professors in my grad school tells me not just me, the whole class, but you know, I'd be feeling like she's talking to me. But that is something she says in our class every time. That is actually one of the standards that we start off class with. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable. When you are living in purpose, you are going to be uncomfortable. And we got to break that narrative that it's just like, it just flows. Like everything just, well, things do flow. Don't get me wrong. They flow. But in that flow, you have to break sometime. You have to heal from things sometime. You have to go through trials and tribulations. And like Miss Eki always says, whether I am serving or talking to a community of 1 or 1,000 or 1 million, when it comes to your purpose, you just got to move in it. And sometimes you don't see the parts that are moving from what you're doing, but it all is going to work for your good. And that is my advice. That is all I could give right now on today, as people say, on today, because I've really been going through that myself. And like I said, this thing that I'm working on, and I'm also putting it out there because I'm trying to hold myself accountable. But what I'm working on is really pushing me right now. It's really pushing me into a realm that I've never foreseen myself in. But that's a part of purpose. It's gonna push you, and how you handle that push is gonna either hinder you or it's gonna propel you into a greater place for yourself. So be comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Thank you, Shan. Be comfortable with the uncomfortable. Like, you just dropped so much great advice, and I needed to hear some of that as well. Thank you. Wow, such a great conversation. I love you all. Such a great platform. I'm always so excited to do this and learn and grow. That's what I was gonna say, Shannon. When you speak, or like just everyone, like in your queens, this is what I keep seeing like happening to us, is this flower that just keeps opening, and it's just beautiful to see it as sisters, as queens, as friends, as working all the elements. I'm truly blessed and honored to be amongst greatness. But even I also have to add too, I also am a hot mess. I will say that as well. I love it. That's the only way you'll continue to grow. Is no one's perfect. And I'm also a queen, also a loving person, a loving light. But all those things come together. Mill Lane says, great conversation indeed. I really, really enjoyed this. Again, we are your queens. We teach about African royalty through storytelling, song, and dance. We are here for you. You can book us for birthday parties, daycare center, school events. Again, we are here for our second season of Behind the Crown series. This is our third episode, excuse me. In 2 weeks, March 17 will be our fourth episode. Listen, I'm not just saying it, like the fourth episode, we're talking faith. I already know we're going to cry. I already know. Good tears are healing because I have my homegirl, Tanisha. She lives in Virginia, and she's doing some great work within herself on healing work, and she cannot wait to get on the platform. So listen, I know the energy is going to be off the chain, and faith is one of my favorite things to talk about. I walk in faith. So again, we're your queens. You can book us, Queen Amina, Queen Nefertiti. We literally dress up like real African queens, and we educate through storytelling, song, and dance while looking magical and fabulous. Yes. Before we close out, we always have to leave with affirmation. So I'm going to ask each queen and our king to share one word or a phrase. And even for our audience, we thank you for tuning in, for sharing this out with your family and friends, and for holding space for us to share and have this conversation today about the Kwanzaa principles. One word or a phrase for us to move on to the next hour, the rest of the evening, the rest of the week, the rest of you already know. Who would like to share their one word first or phrase? Go right ahead, Mickey.
My one word would be consistency.
Bomb. Consistency. Yes. Nate. What would be your one word or phrase?
My one word would be selflessness. Selflessness. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Can I
Angie.
can I expound for 5 seconds?
Go ahead.
All right, I'm sorry because I love hearing myself talk. That's what my mom always say. Boy, shut up. You love hearing yourself talk. Shut up,
At
God.
least you're being honest.
That's
Nah,
why
but
you're here. That's we all do though.
nah, nah, selflessness, man. Because like literally, man, I really had a self check. My mom, it's my mom. Literally, my dad. He played a major role in my life. Thank God he was here. He taught me how to be a man, a militant guy, whatever. But my mom told me how to love unconditionally. You know what I mean? My mom adopted three of my cousins. You know, my aunt was on drugs. She was a drug addict, and so my mother was like, she's not gonna allow her nieces to go into the foster care system. And so that was really one of the reasons why my dad and my mom never really, stayed together because she was taking all this baggage on her side, and he was just trying to raise his own family, right? Just take care of his own. She's like, no, like these are my sister's children, stuff like that. And so I have three sisters who are biologically my cousins, but they're legally my sisters. So we was raised. Once we called them my cousins, oh, that ain't my sister. You. You know what I mean? Like you can't call my mother your mother. When we did that, we got beat because it was like you don't do that. She adopted them, right? And so those are our sisters. And so I have 9 sisters and I have 3 brothers. And I got 4. Some of them are biological, some of them are. They're all biologically related to me, but they're all not biologically my siblings, right? And so when you practice that selflessness, you know what I mean? My mother is literally reaping the benefits of all of the things that she has given out, right? She took care of people, took care of the youth. She's a teacher by education. She's like y'all, so many of y'all, she's an educator. She's been in the education industry for a couple years. So selflessness, like even when I went to work, my mother's like, "Oh, you're not gonna help me? Your mother, I did all of this for you. Not gonna help your mother?" I'm like, "No, it's time for you to get out of here." And then what happened 2 years after I got out of college? Ma, I gotta move back home. I gotta stack bread. You know what I mean? And now I gotta move back home. So you know what I mean? Like selflessness, and it always takes a black queen to kind of be the nurturer. My dad would have been like, "No, you left, so move." So there we go. Selflessness.
No, we needed that. Is your queen around? Is your mom around?
Nah, she's not. I'm actually in Queens. She's actually with her boo. She about to get married in May.
Yes, yes,
So
yes.
she down in South Carolina. And yeah, it's a polygynous relationship. So that African stuff, we grew up. But it's done, it's done consensually and it's done the right way. You know what I mean? It's not forced, it's not secret. The dude don't got no mistress on the side or whatever. Me, I have my own views. I might not do the polygyny thing because of how I see and how it messed up a lot of families. But it works for some people, especially in Africa, and stuff like that. But long story short, like selflessness, and that's another way to be selfless, ladies. Share your man. No, let me stop. I'm gonna stop before I end up getting jumped. I was doing good. I was doing good.
We're
I'm
gonna
gonna get jumped.
Anthony or Shannon, you got your one word or phrase.
Well, my one word is push, and it was push to push yourself. Now I might push King now.
I know we changed the script.
But yes, my one word is push. Push into purpose, push to secure the bag, push to change the systems. Just push.
Thank you. Push. Ange.
Sorry, I had something and then it just totally went left in the thing you just said what you said.
I know. That came out.
I'm gonna say my word is light.
Light. Thank you, Queen. And again, our special guest, Queen Taj. What is your one word or phrase?
I would say my word is restoration because I think before we can do all of these things, we have to make sure that we're okay. And the work that we are talking about takes a lot. It takes a lot emotionally, it takes a lot mentally, psychologically, physically, right? So make sure you're good because you can't pour from an empty cup. And as community
Ooh,
organizers and leaders, we harm ourselves in the process a lot of the time. So, like restoration, are you drinking your water? Did you eat? Are you talking to the homies that you know are gonna hold you down and support you and be like, "Bitch, take a nap"? Like, come on.
real
4
talk.
events back to back. Calm down, sis. Nobody's like the fans gonna be there. The community's gonna be there. Go sit your ass down somewhere. Like, so just take care of yourselves, my people. Please take care of
I
yourself.
love that. I needed to hear that. People always said that to me. That was for me too. That was for me. Like, Eki.
I was about to say that. That was I was saying that was totally for
You
you.
just had 5 shows. It's okay. You can rest. No, I'm a huge advocate of resting anyway, so I needed that. I think everyone shared their one word. Wow, such an amazing panel. Again, thank you to my Queen Shannon, our King Nate, Queen Angie, Queen Mickey, King Logic, who has this platform for us. Shout out, Black Man. We appreciate it. And I saw your comment too. I saw that comment. And our special guest, Queen Taj. We love you. We appreciate you. Many blessings. And to our family, friends, and supporters who are on this live, we hope that you got something amazing out of this. We all did. We love you, and we'll see you on March 17th. But again, don't forget to book Your Queens, yourqueens.com. We love you, Your Queens Inc. on every social media platform. Peace and blessings. Bye.
Hey, Lord of mercy.
Yeah, man, I know Kingston.
Lord of his mercy. Here we go. Them bring out the lion in me. Them I feel me raw. Now bow down to no Babylon law. Them can't imply me. Them can't destroy me. Solid as a rock when they try to hold me back. Free up your mind from mental slavery. Only way you know yourself is know it completely. You've got to live righteous. It's hard cause they spite us. Babylon not trick me and not try to fight us. But we refuse to be who you want us to be. Cause we are who we are, and a rebel. But we refuse to do what you want us to do. Cause we are who we are, and a rebel.
Yes, we're destined to make it. Cause we're destined for greatness. No rest, progress, keep creating. Said them can't break down what they have not created. New paths we keep making. Above the land it's groundbreaking. No, watch us fly over the hills and the valleys. Reach for the sky, it should be mandatory. Just give it a try and don't let them steal your glory. That's why we push ourselves, making sure we write a better story. Cause
we refuse to be who you want us to be. Cause we are who we are, and a rebel. But we refuse to do what you want us to do. Cause we are who we are, and a rebel. Yeah. No, no, no. Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, yeah. On a yourself is nowhere completely. You've got to live righteous. It's hard cause they spite us. Babylon not trick me and not try to fight us. But we refuse to be who you want us to be. Cause we are who we are, honorable. But we refuse to do what you want us to do. Cause we are who we are, honorable. Cause we are who we are, honorable. Cause we are who we are, honorable.